What's up, players? Welcome to episode number 63 of Ready Press Play, your weekly source for everything that's new and exciting in the world of video games. Every Friday at 6 a.m. Pacific or 9 a.m. Eastern Time, we discuss the top news of the week, notable releases on all platforms, what we're playing, big topics of the industry, and the games we love. If you want to write anything to be read on the show, go to ReadyPlayNetwork.com or just hit us up at Ready Press Play on Twitter or TikTok. No matter where you found us, please subscribe to the feed so you can get every new show directly to your device as soon as it posts. And if you like it, please leave us a nice review. This is March 26, 2021. I'm your host, Louis Menchaca, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Mr. Daniel Lima. There we go.
I saw what were those little technical hiccups in the beginning of the show before we went live there, Lewis?
What are you talking
Or
about?
did you not want me to bring that up?
I don't know what you're talking about. OBS is
Okay,
really
I'm
weird
I'm guessing
because
nobody saw that.
like I hit start recording, and then like it like doesn't say that it's recording, and I'm like, okay, I guess it's not recording, and
Hmm.
then and I was like, oh, it is recording, and then yeah, so who knows? I'm not gonna edit it out. I'm just gonna let it be.
All right.
So Dan, we had an interesting show last week where we just sort of like kind of you know try to play around with the format here, and I'm gonna be a traditional person and just bring us back to our old format since I'm steering this ship here this time, which is kind of funny because I had really good success this week with not steering the ship the normal way, but we'll get to that here in a few moments here. So how you been?
Fair enough. Yeah, I'm good, dude. Been pretty busy with work and life and other stuff, but still managed to play quite a few games. I actually did something recently. I tweeted about this and I deleted all social media apps from my phone. And it's because I started realizing, when you go on your phone and you look at they have that feature now, like the screen time or whatever,
Yeah.
and you start actually seeing how much time you spend on like Twitter and Instagram and other things by just like, I am not huge into social media. Like, I am really not. Like, I don't use it as much as other people do. And still, just like on the 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 20 minutes there, 15 minutes here, like maybe like half an hour before bed as I'm like laying there and falling asleep. And it all kind of added up. And I was like, you know what? I could be using this time better. So I'm gonna try a little experiment. I said I'm gonna try to just not use social media for a little bit, maybe like a few weeks, maybe more, depending on how it goes. And I went ahead and I deleted my Twitter app, I deleted my Instagram app, TikTok, everything. Which by the way, go follow us on all of these platforms at Ready Press Play. But I just wanted to see what happened. How I use my time instead, and it turns out that I'm spending a lot more time gaming. I feel like than I did before because now,
Interesting.
rather than going like, yeah, like rather than going like, oh, I got like 10 minutes to kill here. Let me scroll through Twitter. I'm grabbing the good old 3DS instead, which we're gonna get into in a little bit.
All right, cool. That's actually interesting because like I have not done any gaming. Well, we'll get to that in a second here, but I actually just wanted to say before we go on to the actual show itself here, let's go ahead and do some quick housekeeping. Number one, that we just we got to pat ourselves in the back and just kind of like congratulate ourselves because we finally finished Halo Combat Evolved on stream. Yeah,
Yes.
so it's
It
uh,
was a lot of work.
twitch.tv/readypressplay. You should be following us there. Link in the description, link in the show notes. We will be resuming streaming on Sundays, not this coming Sunday, but the following Sundays. We're presumably going to continue on. Now, I think Dan and I agreed that we would be doing Halo 2, but I'm thinking we should
Hmm.
do It Takes Two instead.
Yes, yes,
It's the new.
that's
It'll be the
probably
new.
a good call.
It'll
Yeah.
be the new hotness.
Now,
Um,
here's something I'm sorry I keep derailing this show, by
okay,
the way,
go
but I
for it.
don't
Go for it.
care. I say sorry, but I don't mean it. Now, It Takes Two is a very interesting game because there you can play as two characters, kind of like a way out. But in this case, the two characters are a man and a woman that are in love. You play as a couple, and it's one of those games that are kind of similar to a way out. There's different mechanics and different things that you get to do with each character in the game. So what I'm thinking that could be interesting is that because I definitely want to try to play this with Leah. I don't know if she's going to be into it because she's kind of picky with games. It's like either it hits or it doesn't with her. So I kind of want to play with Leah as the guy and have her play as the girl. So that means, Lewis, that in our playthrough, then I could be the girl and you could be the guy. You know what I mean? So I can get to see the two sides of the game by doing it like that. What do you think?
At least that lets me know that I'm the guy in the relationship, so that's good to
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
know. Yeah, no, that's fine. Didn't really think about that, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that we wouldn't have really. It wouldn't have been like a really big deal out of it, you know. Like
Oh
it's one of
yeah.
those situations where like if you're like two brothers, like two little kids that are siblings playing games together, they're gonna be like, no, I don't want to be the girl, you be the girl, that kind of stuff. Like that's not,
Yeah,
we're adults.
I don't care. Yeah.
The last thing here I just wanted to just gush about here is again about myself because I've been having such a good week. Uh, we basically did another banger episode of Ready Play Movies, BTS number two. We've been having that. We're two for two for BTS episodes. BTS is like we call it behind the scenes, where we just sort of like just throw away the format of like just don't do news. Let's just have a conversation. So BTS number two was a very special episode because number one, it's the first podcast that I recorded with like that's not remotely. Like Dan and I've been doing podcasting, but remotely. Troy and I have been doing
Yeah.
the podcast, but it's been done remotely. So we were actually in like the same table recording, kind of like old fashioned style, and it was like crazy because like there was a flow, an energy to the room that we were able to vibe off each other, bounce off of each other, and it's almost kind of interesting because like there's like whenever you're playing when you're recording something online there's like a bit of a delay, so when you're interjecting things are more natural like that, and I just found
Hmm.
that to be more of a palpable energy. So I'm going to be linking in the description of this video the video version of RPM 11 and also of course our podcast feed for Ready Play Movies RPM. And yeah, so Dan, we've never we you I deliberately didn't ask you before we started recording what you thought of the show because I wanted to, get your like reactions because you just text me like this show was fire. Now elaborate.
Yeah, so obviously, I listen to Ready Play Movies every week because I like to support you guys. We're all part of the same family, and I not like I wouldn't do it otherwise. But this was an interest. It was so interesting about this episode that I do follow Joel BBY, our composer, or our music guy on Twitch. And I don't often go on Twitch. Like I literally open Twitch like very rarely. And I just randomly opened Twitch. I saw that he was live. There were a few people watching it. I was like, let me see what this guy is up to. I click on it, and then or tap on it on my phone, and I see you there sitting on a table with everybody else and like doing a podcast. I'm like, what's going on here? Like I didn't expect that at all. Lewis didn't tell me anything about it.
It's a special
So I
episode.
proceed to like start texting him. Yeah, I started texting you and stuff about it. I was like, dude, I'm seeing you live. And the messages kept doing that thing where they weren't arriving, like they were going but not arriving. And then soon after you went offline, like the Twitch stream went offline. And then I was so worried. I was like, dude, no, he's losing his podcast. I debated on calling you even, but then I was like, Lewis probably has his shit together. If I call him right now, maybe I'll interrupt the flow and etc.
I
I
had
don't want to do that.
I had my phone on airplane mode, so because I didn't want any phone calls to be coming
Mm.
through because one of the three camera setups was my phone. Yeah.
Oh, okay, smart,
So
smart, smart.
even if you were
Um,
texting me, I didn't receive all those messages until after the taping was already done when I unlocked my airplane mode and they all just came through at once.
Fair enough. But nonetheless, everything worked out and the episode came out and then I got to listen to it in podcast feeds, and I skipped the whole Snyder cut part. I listened to it in the beginning and then I skipped the rest because I haven't watched the movie yet. Don't know when I will because it's not like I have a 4 hour block in any moment of my week. I would also have to subscribe to HBO just for it, actually, because I don't have that subscription right now. So we'll figure that out. But I skipped that part, and even without that part, the rest of the show was just so good. The energy was great. Lewis does a little bit of an interview with one of the people in the crew there, and that was pretty good as well. I think he did a pretty good job at doing that, and keeping it flowing, and the way that everybody just kind of vibed off of each other, and you could see, like, you could feel that like energy. Like it was a really good podcast because we're amateur podcasts. We're here. We're doing our best. We're like trying to do a good job. But at the end of the day, at times, I listen back to it and I can tell like, we're not quite there yet, or like, oh, maybe on this episode we were, but on this episode we were not, and etc. And that was one of the episodes where I listened to it and I was like, dude, this is really good. Like the flow was really good. The way that the conversation went from like one topic to the next, it just felt natural. It felt Like nothing felt abrupt. You know, it didn't feel like the conversation was dying down at any point or anything like that. Um, which, by the way, it was actually kind of funny. There was a part towards the end where I think somebody had to go to the bathroom or something, and that you guys kept talking, and you were like, I think it's kind of winding down. Yeah, when he comes back, let's wrap this up, or and it
And
was
we
kind of
kept
funny
going.
that you left that in there because
No, that was the
yeah,
I
it.
deliberately like left that in there on purpose. I didn't want to just cut it and then at I didn't I don't know. I just kind of felt
Mhm,
like it worked, especially because especially if you're like audio listener, it almost kind of felt like he didn't even leave because it was so quick. So
mhm.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, exactly.
but I did cut like a whole like 3 minutes or whatever when he was gone, but you couldn't tell that I cut. So unless you're watching the video version. But yeah, so I just wanted to say that after the podcast, Sam, he's an aspiring filmmaker, and I was like I wanted to pick his brain about the creative process in making short films, making like music videos. Like he's shot stuff, and he has equipment, he knows his stuff, and I just wanted to like really like dig deep and like actually I was almost treating him like I don't know. I felt like I was treating him higher than than his pay grade because I was genuinely asking him questions as if he was like motherfucking Steven Spielberg or something. But he was like he really appreciated it though because But after the podcast is over and after we're done taping and we're like relaxing and stuff like that, we're putting up our the equipment, and Sam just gave me the really great compliment, and I was like, wow, I was like very much like taken aback where he told me that he was nervous going into the podcast, and he said that I'm a very good interviewer, and that I put him at ease and made him feel comfortable, and I'm like, dude, I appreciate that because I don't think I'm that good at interviewing, but I know a little bit of interview skills and stuff like that, but like yeah, so I just as
I think you did a pretty good job. Yeah,
all right,
I
enough
agree.
about this. We've been rambling on and on. Just go watch RPM. It's the spin-off. Oh yeah. And all right, whatever. Let's just get on to some impressions here. And this is going to be the part where Dan is going to just take over. But I'll go first. So this was supposed to be like my big week, my big debut, where it's like, oh my god, I've had the PlayStation 5 for a whole week, and like,
Yep.
oh my god, like but no.
And then you played Fortnite on it.
Yes. uh, you know,
All right, Lord.
to tell you the truth, I've been hella busy. Like I
Mhm.
swear, like one of these days I'm gonna just call out sick from work just so I can have some time to myself. But had a really busy weekend. I didn't have time to play anything, and then next thing you know, the week is here, and then we're doing the podcast. But the time that I did have, I was spending time with my nieces and nephews. They came over. My nephew wanted to play the PlayStation 5, so I let him. So he basically got to christen the PlayStation 5, and I hadn't, so whatever.
What? Wait. Let's stop here for a second. You let your nephew touch your PlayStation 5 before you did?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Wow.
The only thing I've
Wow.
done with the
That's
PlayStation 5 is streaming. That's it. Like just like I do my
dude,
Xbox.
that's like a solid ass uncle move right there. Like you deserve an award, like Uncle of the Year right there, because a lot of times, I'll let people, touch my things, or, try whatever, piece of tech I have, but I will never let them do it before I do it. Before, I've spent a good amount of time with it, and I know, the details and how it works, and I've spent, I've enjoyed it a lot, and then I'm like, okay, well, you can have it within these constraints or something.
Yeah, no, I was busy. Like I just used it for streaming apps. I was watching like
Mhm.
HBO Max through it or whatever, and like that's all I've been doing is just just basically treating it like a streaming box. Because like that's what I have when I have downtime. I'm watching something, and then I didn't really get to play it. I watched my nephew play Spider-Man Miles Morales. I'm just there like couch
Mhm.
backseat pilot, like backseat driver and stuff like that. So I don't know how the controllers felt like and stuff. But from what I did see of Spider-Man Miles Morales, it looked basically like Spider-Man 2018, but with cooler animations. And of course, I
Hmm.
saw like the ray tracing, I saw the reflections, and it looked gorgeous and beautiful, like just mesmerizing. And I
Hmm.
really can't wait to play that game and stuff in like 2023. So, but that being said, all that being said, it felt really awesome. And my nephew was commenting about the controller that it felt weird and stuff like that. And
Hmm.
then I didn't know, what he meant. I was thinking maybe it was the adaptive triggers or something like that with like the web slinging.
Hmm.
I'd imagine that was gonna be the case. But then like I finally got around to like just playing like a quick hour of Fortnite yesterday, and I actually was the first time I'm actually truly using the DualSense other than just navigating an app or whatever. And
Hmm.
I gotta say that there's on the settings there's an adaptive triggers setting where you can toggle it on, and it was crazy. Like the triggers were awesome, where it's like there's tension in them, and it felt like I had
Hmm.
to really pull like a trigger on a gun. Like, and like
Hmm.
I have shot guns in real life before at a target range or whatever, and so it like the first part of the trigger like pull is actually really easy. It's not that like difficult, but then there's a part where like you sort of hit a part where it's sort of like a little soft wall, and after you hit that threshold, that's when the firing pin like shoots. And so
Hmm.
basically the dual sense accurately like did that simulation where it's like that first half is easy, but then that second half you gotta like just like force it and just like click, and then like that's
Hmm.
how they're doing with the pistols and stuff like that. And also with the bow and arrow, like you're like drawing the bow, and like you're the bow and arrow weapon in Fortnite and stuff. It's actually pretty insane. Like I thought it was awesome, and I honestly don't know if I'm gonna continue playing Fortnite with adaptive triggers, because I did find it a little distracting. I don't know if I'm gonna continue playing with it
Yeah.
and try to get used to it and let that be part of my normal thing. But like every weapon you pick up has a different feel in how you pull the trigger and how you shoot. So yeah,
That's the interesting thing about it. It's such a cool, neat feature, right? But I think it's a little bit of a gimmick, just in the sense that I think that you know how, like, with the 3DS, people will, like, turn on the 3D and be like, "This looks awesome," and then, like, turn it off later to actually play the rest of the game. I could see a situation where that's kinda what people do with that, where, they when you first try it, and I tried it when with playing with the Astrobot game, with my friend's PS5, and it was so cool. Like, they did some cool things with, like, how to make you feel it, and have the different, kinda like you were saying, the different guns feel differently, and etcetera. But I feel like in a multiplayer game where you want the precision, you want that edge above everybody else, like, you don't want to, yeah, you want that speed. You don't want to risk being at a disadvantage because you're struggling a little bit, even if just a little bit, to pull that trigger. So I could see where a lot of people are probably going to turn off that feature, especially if they're multiplayer gamers, the people that are playing Destiny 2 and Fortnite and everything else.
yeah. By
Um,
default, it's disabled. I had to go into the settings to enable it,
mhm.
which I wasn't even like, I
That's
wasn't
kind of
even
interesting as
looking.
well.
I wasn't even looking to enable it, by the way, because the thing is like what's really awesome about like booting up Fortnite on the PlayStation 5 is because I was signed into my PlayStation network or whatever. I didn't have to like load up my save or transfer or sign in and like manually pair up my account. It just worked, and I thought that was really
Hmm.
cool. But the thing that doesn't transfer over is all of your settings. So like
Hmm.
the camera sensitivity and like the little hacks that I have going on where it visualizes sound and everything, like all of those things were like it was basically running
Yeah.
stock like default Fortnite, and I had to go into the settings and tinker, and that's when I found that, just happened to find it and stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, let me try that and see, because that's like the new hotness in the DualSense. And yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. But like I said, the I think for me the jury is out as to whether or not I'm going to use it. Me personally, like I liked playing with the 3D turned on my 3DS as much as possible, so I'm probably
Hmm.
gonna go with it.
Fair
All
enough.
right.
Well, talking about the 3DS, I already talked about this last week, but I've continued to play Metroid: Samus Returns. I think I'm about close to halfway through the game now. I've already put like a good like 5 hours on it, just playing it in these like 5, 10, 15, 20 minute increments, sometimes a little bit longer before bed. And I'm having a really good time with it. I think that game is really good. I don't want to say underrated because it's probably, I think it scored well, but just maybe underplayed because it's just one of those late 3DS games that came out, when the Switch was already either out or in the horizon. I think it was already even out. I think it was 2017 when
Yep.
Samus Returns came out. Um, but yeah, it's really good. It's like it kind of feels like comfort food at this point because I've gotten decently good at the game, and I'm not really getting stuck a lot. So I'm just kind of going through it, finding the different weapons, then going back to go past the walls that you couldn't get past before, and etc. Just good old like classical Metroidvania goodness. But it's pretty solid, and I'm enjoying it. Um, Talking about some other games though that I didn't get to talk about last week. Number one, I am playing the game Spiritfarer on Xbox Series X. This is a game that came out last year. It's a game by Thunder Lotus Games. It's an indie. It's an indie developer. This is an indie game, and I think it's available on Game Pass. I think that's how I have it. But this game, Lewis, is really good. And what it is, it's one of those very relaxing Zen type experiences. It has 2D graphics. You get to play as
Rated
this
T for
character named Stella, which she is responsible for commanding this ship in the, I guess, the underworld or the spirit world. And you have to use this ship to find different spirits and help guide them to the other life, or to whatever, the afterlife.
Okay.
And there's a little story that you go through with each character. Like each character has a different personality, and it's kind of like a different take in Animal Crossing in a way, because you can upgrade your ship almost like you would upgrade a village, right? So you can increase the size of your ship. You can add, like, you can create houses for all the characters in your ship. You can have like a kitchen so you can cook, and you can create all these other types of buildings in your ship. And then you use the ship to navigate to different locations. In these locations, you can find either resources, or you can just kind of explore, do story quests, talk to new characters, find new characters to join your crew at the ship, that are then new spirits that you got to help, on their, journey. But then the difference is that the game has like a story, and it has like a beginning, middle, and end. And despite the fact that this is an indie game made by a small studio, it's not, it's not one of those like 1 to 2 hour, little small experiences. Um, and I think it works to its advantage. Actually, this is a game that you can really dive deep in and get involved in, and there's a lot of developments that happen, and it's like a 20-hour game as far as I know. But it's kind of cool that you can get into this Animal Crossing style loop of talking to the characters, bringing in new villagers, upgrading your ship, creating new stuff, fishing, and etc., relaxing, doing your thing. But that this idea that there's an end in mind, right? Like that you're making progress towards the goal, like towards like freeing these spirits and helping them out. And they each have their own little personality and etc. So yeah, just having a really good time with it. I don't know if you have any thoughts or questions or.
No, I have the official. I'm looking at the official website right now, and it says Spiritfarer, a cozy management game about dying. I'm like, wow.
That's such a good way to put it. It's like a cozy management game about dying. like,
And
but the game actually has.
I was gonna say
Go ahead.
I'm also looking at the gameplay, like the gameplay trailer, and it's got that little like that thing where it's like Breath of the Wild, the glider and stuff like that. I was like, other games have done it
Hmm.
too, but stuff like that. It definitely looks cool. Like it looks beautiful as hell.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's one of those games too that I think I played at a convention a long time ago. It was one of those where like, well, there's not much of a line there because that's the small indie game as opposed to
The
Kingdom
hotness.
Hearts 3 or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I went there and I played it and I was like, oh, that's actually pretty neat. And then it came out last year, and then I finally got a chance to go and play it a little bit, and I'm having a good time with it. I actually think I want to try to finish this one and see it through.
I'm pretty sure I've
Um,
seen this game at
Now,
a Nintendo Direct or some digital showcase because it does look familiar.
yes, yes, it is available on the Nintendo Switch, and potentially other platforms as well, like PC and etc. Now, Lewis, I want to talk about another game though, and you don't know about this one.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
I have been playing a lot. Yeah, I have been playing a lot of my Series X since I got it, and recently I've been playing the 3DS, and even doing weird things like going back and playing my Wii U and etc. Um, but I had not touched my PS4 Pro in like literally like 3 or 4 months at this point. I had not played anything in it in a really long time, and it's just because I didn't really have a much of a reason or urge to. I was like doing these other things. So I was thinking, I kind of miss, the PS4. I kind of want to play something on the PS4 a little bit. Um, so I looked through, my all my PS4 games that I bought, like all these games that some of which that I even have on plastic wrap that I haven't even opened yet, that I bought on like Black Friday sales and stuff last year, like the Final Fantasy VII remake and Persona 5 Royal and etc. And I proceeded to pick a game and to turn it on and to play it. And Lewis, I found out after a few hours with this game that this game is potentially one of the best games to have come out in the last 5 years or in the last 10 years. One of the best games to have come out this century.
Hmm.
And this game, but you would never guess what this game is. This game, Lewis, is Dreams.
Well, come
and
on,
I'll tell you why.
you're a
I'll tell
game
you.
developer. Come on, you got it's like game developer the game or game engine the game.
And to be fair, hyperbole aside, I actually haven't even tried to make anything on it yet.
Oh.
But what I did is I went through their little tutorial, and then you can choose between make shit or play shit. And I basically picked play shit, which they call dream surfing. Then Media Molecule had their own little adventure mode, their own little story that you can go through. And I played a little bit of that. They actually made it so that you can't play user generated content until you've at least tried their game. Which I thought was a little bit of an odd choice, but okay. So I played their game for a little bit, and then I was like, okay, I want to check out what people have made, which is why I'm playing this game for. So I get out of it, I back out of it, and then I start dream surfing, just going through random stuff. I didn't want to do, like the top games or anything. I just found I just started scrolling, trying to find stuff that looked interesting to play. And no joke, Lewis, I spent the next 2 hours just going through all these random games and playing it. And it is fucking incredible the amount of variety that these games have, and the fact that they're all built in Dreams, and that somehow Dreams supports like such different types of games to be created within it. Um, Let me dive a little bit deeper in this. I know I'm ranting for a while, but
No, you're good.
first, first I played this little game called like Pogo something, where it was a little stick figure game where you're jumping on a pogo stick, and it felt like one of those old like flash games where you're basically like trying to get through like this little like level while jumping in a pogo stick, and it's frustrating. It makes you like upset. It's almost like intentionally frustrating because you keep falling down these holes and etc. The game was made for a game jam, which apparently they do game jams inside Dreams. But I played it for a little bit. I was like, okay, this is kind of funny. It reminds me of the Flash days and etc. But I'm out of here. Then I go and I proceed to play this other game. Now, this other game is like a full-on, 3D, small little experience where you get to play as a character who's an artist who got rejected at a museum, like they don't want his art. So you get to go into the museum and break everything. So the game is all about like you have a little baseball bat and you're going through and you're just breaking all these things in this museum and trying not to
Jeez.
get caught by the guards or whatever. It was a little bit buggy, it was a little bit janky, but I was like, okay, that's kind of neat. It's very different than the other game. Like the other game was like a 2D, stick figure game versus this is like a 3D game with character models about destruction. Then I back out of it, and then I find this resource management game that is kind of like some civilization like game, but a little bit dumbed down, or very dumbed down actually I should say, but where you get to create a Roman city and you have your resources and you can manage resources and you can be like, I'm going to create this thing so that it generates bricks every second, and then with the bricks I can create this other building. You're having that typical like good old like strategy kind of thing. So like I back out of it, and then I'm going through more stuff. I played some Shrek games just because I thought that would be funny. Like I just started searching random stuff. So I searched Shrek. There's like this one where it's like, like Shrek gets you or something, and you're in the middle of the woods and you're just like looking around, and like there's like a timer on the top, and then suddenly there's just a jump scare, and I'm like, okay, that's stupid, that's cheap. Back out of it. I eventually find a 1-to-1 recreation of Super Mario Brothers, the original, and then I proceed to play that for a little bit and being like, I've played the first level of Super Mario Brothers a million times, like any Nintendo fan has, right? And it was 1-to-1, Lewis. It was as 1-to-1 as it gets. And I just kind of start thinking to myself, like, how is it possible that they created this game engine within a game in a console like the PS4 that allows you to make anything from like Super Mario Brothers 1 to, Flash games to a resource management 3D game to a third person platformer to like a first person shooter to like all the, like all these different things within the game. And it just kind of blew my mind to think that that's even possible. Um, so I guess all I have to say is like Dreams is really impressive as a piece of tech, and it didn't get, any credit pretty much at all. I don't think, there's a lot of people. It seemed like it has like its own dedicated community, but it doesn't seem like a lot of people played it as far as the mainstream goes. And it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of blasphemy when you think about it because it's what they were able to build with that game is pretty insane. Um, Now I get it. It's not a game itself. It's like it's more of like a software. Like it's a tool. But as a tool, it's an incredible tool.
Hmm.
Um, so I wanted to give it its dues, I guess.
Yeah, that's damn. You almost make me want to go out and play and buy Dreams as well. Like I'm pretty sure it was on sale. It might even be on sale right now.
It's really cheap right now. It's like you can get it for like $20 or less.
Yeah.
One of the main fallacies with this game though is that it should be on PC. That's something that I think about it. Like this game should exist on PC because I feel like it would be even crazier if it was on PC. Like I wonder what people would be able to do it with it then because at the end of the day, like you got to use the motion controls with the PS4, like with the DualShock to like build stuff and etc. Like because you're controlling like a cursor on screen and you use the analog sticks for other stuff.
Hmm.
So it comes across like it was like built for like a mouse and keyboard control scheme instead. Um, the actual interface of Dreams. So yeah, I wonder. It's one of those games where it's like if Sony was to put any more games on the PC, and I know they've been doing that and talking about it, I feel like Dreams would be one of the main candidates to do that with.
I kind of want to see Dreams on PS5 simply because like I've seen like a 3D Sonic like Sonic Adventure esque Dream on YouTube where somebody was sharing it or whatever, and apparently like the
Mhm,
PS4 was like chugging with the frame rate because they were going so fast, like zipping
mhm.
through all these assets or whatever. The game stream was like a little wonky. So I wonder like with the PS5 and the solid state drive and imagine just how more like cooler it would come out looking and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
also I forgot about this when I was looking at the website. It's like it's got VR enabled stuff, so that's even
Mhm.
dope. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, when you're surfing through the games, there are some that are VR only, others that are, like VR compatible and etc. And yeah, I was actually kind of surprised that the majority of the games that I played did not chug. Like they actually, played pretty solid. Like the frame rate was good, at least with the ones that I tried. And it's interesting to think that those games are running. The amount of layers, the more layers of abstraction you have on top of hardware, the worse something is likely going to run. Because let me put it this way: like you have your hardware functions to make stuff in the hardware, right? Like if you use those functions, if you're programming or operating in that way, then you're right there at the hardware, so things are more efficient. Now you add like a programming language on top of that, so like that would be like your assembly, right? This is a little behind the game segment here. Like you add a programming language layer on top of that, right? Like your C++ or whatever, right? Like that adds, some extra bit of time because you're using a line of C++ code that's then going to get converted into the assembly, and then the assembly talks to the hardware. Then if you have a game engine like Unreal, then really a lot of times maybe if you're doing some visual scripting in Unreal, really you're like talking to Unreal, which is talking to the C++, which is talking to the assembly, and so forth. So the more you abstract it out, the more likely the harder it is for something to be optimally performant because you have multiple directions. It's almost like instead of straight up telling your computer what to do, you're telling somebody that's telling somebody else that's telling somebody else that's then telling the computer. So it's going to be, even if that happens really fast, because it does happen really fast, it is a little bit slower. Now you add a fucking game on top of that, and the fact that people were coding within the game, so it needs like whatever the instructions are, it's abstracted in the game layer, and then that has to go down through all the other layers. Um, point is, it's even more impressive if a game runs well on Dreams than if it just did by itself. Um, because you got the dreams logic running there too,
Yeah.
under the game. So
Wow.
I don't know. I just keep talking here, but
No, that's cool. I mean, hey, look, that's new stuff for me. Like I'm yeah, I'm kind of blown away. I'm actually kind of just mesmerized, and yeah. Side note, just spoiler. We're gonna be talking about the BAFTA awards, but Dreams did one for technical achievement. So, uh,
oh, nice,
yeah.
nice. I
Um,
didn't even know about that. Yeah. Well,
I
we'll
guess you
we'll
didn't
get to
watch
it.
the
We'll get to
BAFTA
it.
awards today.
Nope.
uh, I guess we'll just another spoiler. There was they won for technical achievement, but then they had technical difficulties when doing the Zoom thing where there was no audio, so it's kind of funny.
That's hilarious. That's pretty
Um,
funny.
but anyways, let's go ahead and do the quickest of segments. We call it the battle bus. I only have two quick things to say because I already gave away the sauce when it came to the PS5 gameplay of Fortnite. So I'm just gonna say that I did not. I forgot to mention this last week when we talked about the new season, but and I really shouldn't have forgot this, but that they doubled the number of presets. So with last season they maxed out at 50 slots. This season it is now 100 slots, which is awesome for me because I had to delete a bunch of presets last season, and now I can recreate them and stuff like that, and start reorganizing them because of my OCD.
I don't use that feature at all. I in fact, let me tell you how I play Fortnite. At this point, I already, I obviously, I'm not a baller like you, so I don't have nearly the same amount of crazy skins and stuff than you do. But I already have a few skins and variations and other stuff. The way I play Fortnite, Lewis, is that I have everything set to random. So that every time I hit play, I have a different random combination of things in my character. Like I have a different skin with a different pickaxe, with a different, backpack, with a different something else. And I just love that. It just makes it different every time. It makes it fresh, right?
Uh,
Like,
you
this game, I'm playing as the Mandalorian while holding, like the Predators, like
oh my god.
stuff, and that's just how it is.
Oh my god. You you disappoint me because I can never do that. Like I don't do that thing where like you mix the cannons around and stuff like that. Like the Mandalorian should have the Mandalorian backbling and the Mandalorian pickaxe and everything. So, anyways, uh, yeah, I got something else to add to that. There we go. Okay, so as I was saying, the besides the presets and stuff like that, I wanted to talk about Smash very quickly. Uh, so there was a patch 11.0 that happened whenever the new character came out, Pyra and Mithra. When they
Mhm.
dropped, there was a patch notes that Nintendo's been putting out where here's all the changes that we made to every character. And sometimes there are changes that are done and they don't get put in the patch notes because they must have been an
Right.
accident or there must have been some secret feature that they were keeping it hush hush or whatever. This is probably the former. It's probably an accident, but We Fit Trainers side B got buffed, and so it makes it so
Hmm.
it's hard to punish, and so I'm going to come out and assume and say that that's probably somebody tweeted about it and was like, running game on people and like, posting videos on Twitter with some cool like wins on Wii Fit Trainer because they couldn't punish. And so what they ended up doing was they Nintendo put out a 11.0.1 patch, which is literally just basically Nintendo saying my bad, might be, and they put literally one sentence on their patch notes and says, uh, "We fixed Wii Fit Trainer back to before." And I'm
Hmm.
like, wow. And so
That's interesting.
I just wanted to comment that it's kind of interesting that there is number. I seriously doubt that Nintendo would have noticed it by themselves. I'm thinking like there's somebody and then Nintendo's development team or the Smash development team that's keeping an eye on Reddit and shit like that, just to like whatever
Hmm.
somebody's saying is like, oh, red flag, because I doubt
Hmm.
like their analytics would have came back with that. So just saying.
All right, sounds good.
All right, let's get on to the news. Dan, we have a crazy news week here because we had like so many items that we had to cut. So that's hardly ever happens here. So the first,
Especially this year.
I know, right? The first thing we're going to be talking about is going to be the Microsoft is potentially going to be buying Discord. So this, I'm pulling this article from Game Informer. It says Microsoft could acquire Discord uh, for $10 billion. Oh, if $10 billion talk goes through. So it says here a new report states that Microsoft's latest acquisition could be Discord. Xbox has been on a roll in the acquisition game, upping the ante for a fresh generational start with the Series X and S. The latest purchase, not another studio, but the popular video game chat community Discord instead. Murmurs of a Discord acquisition began kicking up earlier this week, but it looks like the deal could be reached soon. In the report by VentureBeat, via GamesBeat, Discord has reached out to various companies in a bid for a buyer. According to this same report, one of the companies at the top of the list is Microsoft with a bid of over $10 billion. According to the report, one backed by Bloomberg, Discord is currently in exclusive acquisition discussion with one party, that party reportedly being Microsoft. This news comes hot on the heels of the confirmation that Microsoft is shifting some branding around with the Xbox Live services now being labeled Xbox Network. That's going to be another story we're going to be talking about. But yeah, so Dan, we use Discord for this very podcast.
Hmm.
I'm scared for the future. Are you?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'm not one to typically celebrate big company acquiring big company acquisitions, right? Or like big companies acquiring perhaps like smaller companies. It's kind of crazy that Microsoft has this kind of money. Can you imagine, Lewis, just like being able, like they just spent $7 billion on Bethesda, right? And just being able to, just throw $10 billion at Discord, and
Which
it's
is Discord
go
even
ahead.
valued that much? Is it? Are they even like?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not. I heard somewhere where I was hearing this same story being discussed somewhere else, and they said that Discord is not valued this much. This is basically Microsoft just trying to immediately outbid everybody else. Like just to kind of like swing their big dick and get there and be like, hey, like just so you guys know, we really want this, and we don't want anybody else to I guess overcut us, right?
Yeah.
And it's I feel like the only company that could otherwise offer more
Apple.
and buy them would probably be Amazon.
Oh.
Well, I guess sure. There's Apple,
Facebook.
there's Google, but I
Facebook.
I, I could see through Facebook. That's a good one. I was gonna say I don't really see Apple being that interested in Discord. I see Amazon potentially, Facebook for sure. I could see that one as well. So we'll see what happens here. But whether I'm worried or not, it depends, right? Like it depends. Are they gonna change? How much are they gonna change it? How much are they gonna turn it into something else, or are they gonna keep it what it is? And I feel like Microsoft's philosophy with these things have been changing throughout the years. Where I feel like nowadays they seem to lean a little bit more towards leaving things as they are, as opposed to trying to turn them into Microsoft products. So I would hope that regardless of whether this happens or not, that it ultimately does not affect Discord that much, or at least not negatively.
Hmm.
Right.
I wonder if like does is Microsoft literally like I want to know what their game plan is for Discord because like it almost kind of feels like their Discord is kind of like used as like party chat basically like third party chat. We use Discord for like Among Us and I'm pretty sure some people even use Discord when they weren't playing for like Xbox Live or whatever so that kind of stuff. Like is that going to be a situation where they're like it's like oh yeah we're just going to integrate Discord into the Xbox or whatever. Is that really all they want to do or is it just like what I really want to know what's like what what is the how are they going to be making revenue from Discord and stuff like that? How is Discord even making
It,
revenue? Is what I want to know.
yeah, I was gonna say, is Discord even monetized? Like, how is Discord monetized? Because it could be one of those situations where they're not even making money because there are companies out there that have this huge evaluation based on their stock value that are not profitable companies. There's plenty of those out there.
Yeah.
So I wonder what the case is with Discord. I'm sure there's probably some monetization going on there. There's probably I'm actually not a big user of Discord. I use it to record this podcast, but that's pretty much the extent to my use with it. But I assume there must be some kind of like ads or like VIP kind of privileges that you can buy, perhaps. Like the ways to customize your servers that you're spending money on. But I'm not sure. Um, Now, I often heard that a lot of times when big companies buy companies like this, they're not buying it for the revenue as much as they're buying it for the data and the user base. So that's also a possibility that Microsoft sees that Discord is so huge with gamers. There's so much gamer data in there. It's just like this pool of like data and information and user accounts that they can tap on and use for trying to use it to bring people to other of their services or other products and etc. Or to just kind of use it for analytics that they can then sell as well. So um, I don't know. There's all sorts of possibilities in this realm, but because I'm not really a big user of Discord, it's a little bit beyond my realm of expertise in that sense.
I genuinely don't want to see. I genuinely don't want to see Discord turn into Mixer. You know,
Mm,
and I also don't want to see like when Microsoft bought out Skype, the Skype suddenly became less competitive with features, and everyone
mhm.
else was like, power creeping on their, basically eating their lunch kind of thing. So I don't want to see, Discord like, fall from grace from like the consciousness, the zeitgeist that we're in. So I don't know. I feel like Microsoft doesn't really have a good track record of like buying out a company and then keeping that company propped up. So yeah, I don't know. Just they don't have the benefit of the doubt for me.
We'll see what happens.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next one here. And this is this is what I was talking about, the BAFTA awards. So they
Mhm.
happened earlier today, a day of recording, and the BAFTA awards were streamed live, and there was like a virtual thing where basically everyone was actually it was kind of funny. Everyone was using Discord because there was one part where like they were having the technical difficulties and stuff, and I can see the Discord like overlay. Like that wasn't Zoom, I can tell you that much. And so it's kind of funny how like the person had like the mouse and they were trying to click on somebody's thing to blow them up, and it was kind of funny. But yeah, um, the BAFTA awards, they were 90 minutes, and it was like almost like a kind of like a perfect award show because it was literally just an award show of just nominees and like presenters, just like back to back to back to back to back. Like there's no like fluff, like as far as like, well, there's a little fluff as in like talking about like this award is known for this or whatever, this is
Mhm.
achievement, but it's not like you're not getting like music performances or whatever like that, or commercial breaks. There were none that I can. Yeah, no, it just kept on going and going. So that's what I need. I need an
Mhm.
Academy Awards, which is kind of funny because
You know,
they're known as the
I got to
Academy.
start voting. Oh, sorry.
Go for
I
it.
got to start voting with my wallet in quotes a little bit when it comes to award shows because I always watch the Game Awards and I've even watched them, live, like in the audience 2 years in a row. Back when they were still doing that, they didn't do that last year. And I often have a lot of complaints about the Game Awards, right? Like in many ways I like it, and then in many ways I don't. And I've talked in this very podcast and in other circumstances offline before about what I think an award show should be. And the BAFTAs in a lot of ways are what I think an award show should be. It's really about the awards and the developers, and it's about the disciplines of development, be it animation, design, and all these other things. It's really like what I think is closer to the ideal award show format. And then I didn't watch it, so really I should probably make a point to watch and support the BAFTAs more than I do. The truth is, I just this didn't fall on my radar. I didn't even know this was going on. I remember, I think we brought up the nominations maybe on a different show, or we maybe it was an extra news bullet point or something, but I had kind of forgotten about it and I didn't remember when it was gonna happen. So yeah, but I'm excited to go through the awards right now and kind of talk about their choices here.
Yeah. So, also by the way, they did Game of the Year like midway through, so that was really weird.
That's interesting.
They did it like their ordering was really weird. Okay, so The Last of Us Part Two won for Best Animation. Hades won for Artistic Achievement. Ghost of Tsushima won for Audio Achievement. Hades won for Best Game. Okay, I'm guessing that's the one where. Okay, I did not see
Yeah, that's
that.
the game of the year.
That's Game of the Year. Okay,
Yeah.
they presented another Game of the Year. There was a Game of the Year voted by the public. They presented that midway through. I thought that was
Okay,
cool.
okay.
I thought that was the Game of the Year. But okay. Separate side note, by the way, I just want to comment that they're doing the thing where they're trying to split the wins to like as many games as possible, which is what I predicted for the Game
Hmm.
Awards. I didn't like the Game Awards. I didn't predict that Last of Us Part Two would do a full sweep. So I'm very happy that they're spreading the love here. Sackboy: A Big Adventure won for British Game. Carry On won for Debut Game. Sea of Thieves won for Evolving Game. Sackboy: A Big Adventure won for Family Game. Hades won for Game Design. Animal Crossing: New Horizons won for Game Beyond Entertainment. Animal
Hmm.
Crossing: New Horizons also won for multiplayer. Marvel
Oh, I
Spider-Man.
disagree with that one. Sorry. Let's keep going.
That's fair. I think people could have criticisms about the multiplayer. Uh, Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales won for music. Hades won for narrative. Kentucky Route Zero won for original property. Laura Bailey won for a performer in a leading role. See, that's what I'm talking about. They need to do a leading and supporting. So Logan Cunningham won for a performer in a supporting role. Dreams won for technical achievement, and Last of Us Part Two won the fan voted Game of the Year. So
Oh, interesting. I see
and
what they did there.
the article then has like all the same things again, where the nominees are also there, not in bold. So yeah, I really did like the award show. It was just like just kept going and going, and everyone was even dressed up. Like Troy Baker was there in a suit and stuff like that. A majority
Hmm.
of the awards were pre-recorded. Were like they cut to like a pre-recorded segment where somebody's accepting the award speech, and a couple of
Hmm.
select awards were like live, where they had all six nominees were on the on the boxes and stuff like that, and you can see them react to like when they lost or whatever. Like the other five would do the clap or whatever and stuff like that. So and the other person was like, oh my god, I won and all that stuff. So that's really cool. So they didn't do that too many of those. What's really kind of funny is one of the pre-recorded like acceptance speeches. The guy gave away the sauce. He gave away like how the sausage was made because um, he literally said like when as he's pretending to receive the award, he was saying it was like, well, if I don't win, you guys won't see this because everyone's recording their acceptance speeches and stuff, like all the nominees and stuff. And I'm like, wow, that's actually really interesting. So he didn't even when he's accepting the award, he doesn't even actually know if he won the award. And it's kind of funny
That's
is
cool.
he had a whiteboard with like some stuff written on it, and it said clear as day, chances of winning the BAFTA 100 to 1. And the next bullet point was ask for a pay raise or whatever. It was so good. It was like just brilliant. I love it. This is such a good award show. So
That's good stuff, man. I actually am going to try to take some time this weekend to watch it. I think what's the most interesting to highlight here is perhaps the games that were in quotes snubbed or just didn't get awarded as much on the Game Awards. They got recognized here. Sackboy: A Big Adventure won 2 awards in the BAFTAs, and I don't think that game was pretty much even brought up in the Game Awards, if I remember correctly. Spider-Man Miles Morales, was nominated for Game of the Year, and it won for Best Music. And I also think that game, I remember it only had one nomination on the Game Awards and it didn't
for
win.
actor,
And it's one of those situations. Yes, I think that's correct. And it's one of those situations where, you can see that an award show like this benefits a little bit for happening a few months after the year ends. so that it gives everybody time to actually have gone through, or at least, you would hope the people that are voting have had time to go through and play the majority of games that actually did come out in the calendar year of 2020, and vote on their nominations and on the winners based on that. Because on the Game Awards, there's a lot of games that end up being at a disadvantage because they come out either on the week, like the final week where
Of the
they can come
deadline.
out to be eligible.
Yeah.
Yeah, the final week before the deadline, or even after the deadline, right? And those games, what Jeff Keighley always says when he is in quotes criticized, or people complain about this, is he says, well, they're eligible for next year. And that's true, but when you're in next year, like, people are not really thinking about that game as much, right? Like, you get to most likely when we get to November of this year, and people are looking back at the best games of 2021, they're not going to be thinking about Miles Morales, right? They're not going to be thinking, or it's less likely that they're going to be thinking about Miles Morales. So an award show like this gets the benefit of happening after the calendar year's over, that people have had some time, and then games like that come out at the very tail end of the year, like Sackboy and Miles that came out with the PS5, can have more of a chance to get some awards, right?
Yeah, that's true. And by the way,
Yeah.
I'm looking through all the nominees. Ori and the Will of the Wisps was only nominated for best music. So that kind of sucks.
Oh wow.
And of course, Miles Morales won for that, which is really cool. And I think Miles Morales needs love as well. But what the hell? So I'm not happy with that in general. Secondly, um, my there was the one for like best ongoing game. I forgot what they called it. They call it evolving game. Fortnite was nominated. Those bastards got snubbed again. Fortnite is the best evolving game to ever evolve because they constantly one-upping themselves. But yeah, that's all I
Lewis,
gotta
I
say.
think I think the best evolving game should have been Pokemon Sword and Shield. Just saying.
There's some what do you call it? I feel like there's like a pun in there. Uh,
Yes,
all
that's
right.
the point.
All right. Enough with the. No, one last side note here. I just wanted to say that the South by Southwest awards were also happened. Hades won for Game of the Year as well. All right. Next up is what we talked about in the other news story about the Discord stuff. Is Microsoft rebrands Xbox Live to Xbox Network. The story reads Microsoft is rebranding the Xbox Live, and instances of the new branding started appearing on Xbox dashboards recently for beta testers, with clips being updated or uploaded to Xbox Network instead of Xbox Live. Microsoft has now confirmed the name change. Quote, Xbox Networks refer to the underlying Xbox Online service, which was updated in the Microsoft Services Agreement, says a Microsoft spokesperson in a statement to The Verge. Quote, the update from Xbox Live to Xbox Network is intended to distinguish the underlying services from Xbox Live Gold memberships. Microsoft has used Xbox Live to refer to its underlying Xbox service since its original launch 18 years ago. Larry Herb, better known as Major Nelson, has been known as Xbox Live's Major Nelson for years, but Herb now refers to himself as Xbox's Major Nelson. And this article then has some tweets with some screenshots where it says upload to Xbox Network, or another one where it says manage captures, and then there's like a checkbox that says on the Xbox Network. So it used to say Xbox Live. So Dan, number one, RIP to Xbox Live, and number two, why? Just why?
Hmm. I'm not sure I know why, but to be completely honest, I don't really care. Like, I mean, to be fair, I am a new uh, Xbox fan, if I can even call myself that, right? Like, I mean, Lewis too, and Lewis and I are playing through Halo Combat Evolved for the first time, so we can't sit here and be the true Xbox representatives that are like, oh, Xbox Live has a meaning to me, and blah 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 blah, right? Because it doesn't, not as strong. Now, I do think it's interesting. Xbox Live was a brand on its own, right? Like,
Yeah.
Xbox Live was beyond Xbox in some ways. It was something that people used as its own, to refer to it as its own thing, in a way that I'm not sure that had as was as strong with PlayStation, and definitely not as strong with Nintendo, right? Like, Nintendo's online is just whatever, right? Like, we're just a Nintendo's little online thing, whatever. Xbox Live meant something though, right? Like it was a name and it was a brand that was associated with other sub brands as well, right? Like you had Xbox Live Gold being the paid, premium subscription service. And then you had like Xbox Live Arcade, right, which were the the downloadable games that were available on the 360 and etc. But I think this is a sign that Xbox is trying to move past that old branding and leave behind, because I already told you, I already said this before, and I've been almost like calling for it, and I think it's gonna happen. And it's each new story that comes out, I think it's gonna happen. Xbox Live Gold is gonna die, Louis. That service is gonna end eventually. I guarantee you. And obviously saying it's gonna end eventually, everything ends eventually. It's gonna end in the next few years. And or at least gonna
before
get rebranded.
before the
Um,
Series X dies, basically. Yeah.
yeah, just like Xbox Live Arcade is dead as well. Like we don't say that anymore, right? Like it's like they still put out indie games, and there's like the ID at Xbox stuff, but that's gone. So I think they just kind of want to retire the brand, and they want to focus more on Xbox as a brand, on Xbox Game Pass as a brand. I don't know. It's an odd choice. I don't know if it's necessary, but I also don't have a problem with it. I think, with time companies evolve and like do things different. I think they're just trying to, they don't want people thinking about Live Gold anymore. They don't want people thinking about Xbox Live anymore. They want you thinking about Game Pass. They want that to be the brand.
Hmm.
So that's the way I look at it.
That's so subtle. Like it doesn't even like make any sense. Like I honestly think they should just because the thing is, if you think about it, like Xbox Live was just like even if even it's got like a cachet. It has like a weight to it. Like even
Hmm.
I never had an Xbox 360, but I knew what Xbox Live was. Best believe it, I knew what it was. Like I knew everyone talked it up. Everyone said it's the best online to ever online. So I just kind of
Hmm.
feels like you're just throwing you're like it's like almost kind of feels like you're throwing away the baby with the bathwater kind of situation. I don't even know if I'm using that
Hmm.
phrase correctly though, to tell you the truth. But it just it just kind of seems very odd. Like I think that you can capitalize on the goodwill that you've already built with your branding and stuff like that. So why
Hmm.
why discard it? So it just seems like a very weird issue for me, but I'm guessing there are executives at Microsoft that get paid more than me that said that this is what we need to do. So yeah,
Yeah. It does feel like a weird, unnecessary move, but at the end of the day, I think soon we're gonna get used to the new name, and we're gonna kind of, I mean, it's gonna take a bit, but we're eventually gonna get used to the new name, and we're gonna forget about Xbox Live. Like, a really quick tangent. The first time I went to Disney World in Florida, that they had four parks: Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, Epcot, and MGM Studios, Disney's MGM Studios. And that park got later renamed to Hollywood Studios. And I remember when I learned that they were renaming the park, I was like, I kind of took some issue with it. I was like, oh man, but like, like I liked MGM Studios, and, they had like a cool branding around it and everything, and it was associated with, with the MGM movie studios. That I don't know, if belonged to Disney or whatever. I assume it belonged to Disney, or they had some licensing deal or whatever. And then, Hollywood Studios just seemed generic to me.
yeah,
But fast forward, it's been over 10 years since the name changed now, I believe. And, everybody just knows it as Hollywood Studios. You go to
nobody
Florida, people go to
remembers.
Disney.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I remember it. I'm sure a lot of people remember it, but the kids that are going to Disney now don't remember it. The kids that are like in their teens or whatever, or early going to Disney right now, don't know it, don't remember it. And it ultimately doesn't matter. Everybody's used to the new name now. So I guess totally a necessary tangent on my part as well. But the point is just things get renamed, and then it's weird, and it feels unnecessary. But then ultimately, 10 years later, it doesn't matter anymore.
yeah.
So
See the dual sense.
yeah, yeah.
or,
That's
or,
another interesting example too.
there are many other examples and stuff like that. Yeah, that's true. All right. The other quick sub story within this is the Xbox Party Chat will no longer require Xbox Live Gold when paywall also drops for free to play games. So just wanted to say that this was something that they talked about whenever they rolled back. They're like, "Oh yeah, my bad. We're not gonna pay. We're not gonna charge you $120 for Xbox Live or whatever." So they are now coming through with their promise. Xbox Live Gold will soon soon no longer be required to use party chat. Microsoft will drop the subscription requirement at the same time as it also removes the need for Xbox Live Gold to play online free to play games such as Fortnite and Rocket League. And that was written by Tom Phillips over at Eurogamer. I'm going to just stop it right there. Yeah, so about time. That's really cool. Awesome.
Mhm.
I don't really have much to say other than that. So let's go ahead and move on, unless you want to say something.
No, nothing else to add other than what I already said.
All right, cool. Next up is this comes from Bloomberg. This is we commented about it a little bit last week because this is an old story a story that just keeps on perpetuating. But we're just gonna go ahead and hit on some new stuff. The Nintendo Switch Pro rumors are abound right now this week. Nintendo to use faster NVIDIA chips in new 2021 Switch model. Written over at Bloomberg, it says Nintendo plans to adopt an upgraded NVIDIA chip with better graphics and processing for a new Switch model planned for the year-end shopping season, according to the people that are familiar with the matter. I love that phrasing.
I
Um,
know.
the new Switch iteration will support NVIDIA's Deep Learning Super Sampling, or DLSS, which is like what I told you about the AI technology. It's a novel rendering technology that uses an artificial intelligence to deliver high fidelity graphics more efficiently. That will allow the console, which is also set for an OLED display upgrade, to reproduce game visuals at 4K quality when plugged into a TV, said the people. Who asked not to be identified because the plan is not public. The US company's new chipset will also bring in better CPU and increased memory. DLSS support will require new code to be added to the games, so it'll be primarily be used to improve graphics on upcoming titles, said the people, including multiple game developers. Bloomberg News previously reported that the new Switch is likely to include a 7-inch OLED screen from Samsung Display Company, and a couple of the consoles releases with a bounty of new games. All right, so I just wanted to skip along here and go to this part of this article, and this is some news information here. Analysts expect the new Switch will be offered at a higher price than the current model's $299, a level unchanged since the Switch's initial release in 2017. Bloomberg's Intelligence's Matthew Canterman foresees an increase of as much as $100. Quote, $349.99 will increase the value proposition of the device, but I think Nintendo can drive strong demand even at $399.99. So I'm not gonna lie. $400 is kind of you're kind of putting yourself up there with like next gen pricing. Like
Mhm.
$400 gets you like a PS5 digital edition. So yeah, they're gonna be like competing for that same consumer. I'd imagine. And as long as you're you have 4K on the box. It's like I guess you're trying to for the general consumers, you're trying to like put yourselves at parity, I guess. So also, it is also noted that if they do put the price at $400, it would be the most expensive hardware Nintendo has ever produced because the most expensive to date was the Wii U at $350. So when they
Yeah.
first launched.
It's I I can see arguments both ways to whether Nintendo would do this, would put it at that price and whether they should. Um Nintendo has typically not been very successful with expensive hardware. Nintendo has also typically not been very successful when it was at parity or close to parity with its main competitors. I feel like Nintendo is usually successful by undercutting them in price because they do offer a different kind of experience, right? Like they're not going out for the higher end hardware. They're going out for, like here's something cool and neat and different and fun for the family, for a cheaper price. That's usually their proposition, or at least has been with DS, 3DS, with the Wii, kind of with the Wii U as well, despite the fact that it was more expensive than the others. So I kind of feel like if Nintendo comes out at $400, more expensive than, a PS4 Pro and Xbox, One X at that point, although, One X is discontinued, pretty much the same price as the digital PS4 or Series S, close in price to what a PS5 or Series X will probably be on sale in like a year. So it's I don't know if that would be a good move. I don't know if that would work. Now, on the other hand, you could argue, the Switch is the one of the most successful Nintendo consoles ever, if not, about to be the most successful Nintendo console ever. And if they could capitalize on something like that, this would be the time. Um, Now,
Plus,
Who are they selling?
Nintendo Switches sell for like more than $300 on eBay when they're being scalped by resellers. So
And maybe what if they throw in a packing game, right? Like if there's like a good packing game like Breath of the Wild 2 and they sell it for $400, then like over that already kind of sells it, right? The interesting thing though is, are they trying to sell this hardware to current Switch owners or to new Switch buyers? The answer is probably both, but I think it is not an easy sell for somebody that already owns a Switch, already likes it, is happy, is having fun with their Switch, to go out and spend $400 just to upgrade their system when their current system is perfectly capable to play the games that they want to play, right? So, like honestly, I can tell you right now, I wouldn't. At least I wouldn't for now. I wouldn't immediately. I know you would, but I wouldn't.
yeah,
Um,
Nintendo can't get my money
yeah, I
fast
don't. I
enough.
could actually. Yeah, I could talk about this even longer, because the other side of this too is fuck, I just lost it. I led up to it, and then I just I lost my train of thought. Whatever, go. You can move on, or talk, Lewis, if you want.
No, I can go ahead and stall for you while you remember. So yeah, no, I was just gonna say like, I am 100% on board like the hype train for the Nintendo Switch Pro. I'm gonna buy it day one. I'm probably not gonna buy it day one because somehow, some way, it's gonna be a PS5 situation where the pre-order scalpers are gonna just get all the
Mhm.
inventory and I'm gonna be screwed. So, uh, other than that though, I don't know. I'm very happy with the DLSS thing, and I'm like my conspiracy theory box is going at like thinking it's like, oh yeah, they just want to put 4K on the box, and so imagine like whenever like there's
Yeah.
like a you're like the mom or that's buying a console for the kid and they see a Nintendo Switch with 4K and then an Xbox and a PlayStation 5 with 4K, but then they're like, oh, but this one's portable, you can actually take it out and like play it as a console or like as a handheld. It's like
Hmm.
it almost makes it like a better value proposition and stuff like that. So um,
True.
but yeah, like when it comes to the history and stuff like that, the GameCube, I think it was like a 200 or $250. I like the NES, the Super Nintendo, N64. They're very like no more than $200. Like they're
Hmm.
very like budget friendly. They're targeting family members as like their consoles.
Hmm.
The Wii was way undercutted over like the PS3 and the 360 and stuff like that. So I think the Wii launched at 199 if I'm not mistaken. So it's like it's one of those situations where like Nintendo is now trying to like I guess maybe like the power creep or technology requires them to manufacture more expensive hardware with better features and stuff like that, which is cool for me, but maybe not so much for like more family oriented consumers. So yeah,
They might also be going for kind of like a three-tier strategy, where they have the Switch Lite on one end and the Switch Pro at the other end, and they want to keep, they often talk about this, like the three tiers. They've done this before with DS, Game Boy, like GBA, I think, and the GameCube and the Wii. I can't remember the timeline very well in my head right now, but I did remember what I was going to say earlier, which is like the best argument for the Switch Pro right now, I think, is the fact that Switch games are just starting to to look
they're aged.
progressively worse in comparison to current hardware. And I mentioned this when we watched that last Nintendo Direct, where it's like every one of those games, I'm like, man, that game just doesn't look good. Like they just don't look that great when you're getting your eyes used to seeing these beautiful games running on the PS5 and the Series X and stuff, and you're seeing all these new awesome next gen trailers for Horizon Forbidden West and stuff, and then you look at Mario Golf on the Switch, and I tend to believe that games don't really need that much power to to look good, and Nintendo is usually phenomenal at making their games look great and look at parity with worse hardware. But you look at like Mario Golf and you look at the Pokemon stuff, and it's just not quite right. It just doesn't look good. So I think Nintendo could benefit of having a better hardware so that they could develop a new game, and maybe you can play the new game in any of the three hardware SKUs, but the one that they show in the trailer is running on the Switch Pro. You know what I mean? No, I mean it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that the I'm pretty I would bet like I'm like 50-50. I don't know what the odds are, but My gut tells me that Nintendo Switch, like the Switch that we have now, is gonna stay on the market. They're not gonna quietly discontinue it like they did the old 3DSs when the new 3DSs were
Hmm.
out. It's possible. I'm not gonna say that it's not gonna happen, but you can almost hit like a $200, a $300, and a $400 Switch. It's like
Yep.
kind of like with the Apple thing, where it's like we have the iPhones and we have it at all these price points and stuff like that. So yeah, I would say that's probably going to be the case, but I also, Nintendo will Nintendo if they. Um,
Hmm.
but that all that being said, I had one more thought about the Nintendo Switch, but whatever. Let's just go ahead and move on because we have a whole lot more news to cover. This next one is coming from the gamer, and it's regarding a report. There's a rumor that the PlayStation 3, the Vita, and the PSP stores are going to be closing permanently in a few months. Hasta la vida, baby. That's a good tagline there. But by the way, separate side note, I'm actually genuinely surprised that the PSP store is still like functioning because
I
the
know. I wouldn't have guessed that.
the PSP came out in 2005,
Hmm.
so that's crazy. Um, Maybe it's more of like a situation because it's like backwards compatible, or like the Vita store is backwards compatible, so it's probably accessing the same store.
Mm.
Maybe, I don't know. But it says here that the PS3, the PS Vita, and the PlayStation Portable stores aren't long for this world, according to a source familiar with the situation. Again, that phrasing. The stores are due to be closed down starting in July or from July. The announcement is planned for the end of this month, so sometime between now and the end of March 31st or whatever, Sony's gonna come out and officially announce it. PSPs and PS3 stores are going to be closed on July 2nd, while the PlayStation Vita store will stay open until August 27th. After those dates, you will no longer be able to purchase digital copies of games or DLC for any of Sony's consoles mentioned above. So, yeah, I gotta say, I don't know how to feel about this because on the one hand, I am not shocked in the least bit surprised. Like, I mean, the PS3 is definitely a legacy hardware. The PSP is most definitely legacy hardware, and I'm surprised it's still kicking. The Vita, I'm a little bit more miffed about because I was like, the Vita doesn't have a successor, but no one's really like, and no one's all the indies left Vita because they went to Switch, so it's like I don't know. It just kind of seems like a part of me almost kind of like feels like the Vita could still be relevant, but also, by the way, the 3DS came out before the Vita, and the 3DS's eShop is still going on, and there's no rumors of it closing anytime soon. So it kind of feels like the Vita is just getting a little short shrift, in my opinion. I don't know. What do you think, Dan?
I I can't necessarily say I'm surprised about this news because this kind of stuff happens a lot now, and it happens sooner than it used to. But it could just be me getting older, and time feels different now. Um, Now I do get I mean, I am upset about it if this is true, which I believe it probably is. Although it is a little odd that Sony hasn't come out and just confirmed it outright already, because that if they were planning to confirm it in March, to announce it in March, then they should have as well just come out and be like, "Yep, this is true," and then just done their announcement. So that's a little odd right there. Maybe they're rethinking their plans based on the response. But I am upset, and I'll tell you why. Like the PSP, all right. l- Listen, that's really old hardware by this point. It already had its sequel, years ago, and etc. And I don't think a lot of people are playing the PSP right now, unless the people that were jailbreaking it and installing all kinds of shit on it, like a lot of people did with their PSPs. And maybe it doesn't matter to those people. They're still going to do what they're going to do with it regardless, right? And that's fine. Good for them. Um, when it comes to the PS3, it gets a little iffy because the PS3, is it is hardware from two generations ago. However, we're still in the very infancy of the PS5. A lot of people that want to get a PS5 haven't even been able to get one yet. And when you look back at like the PS2, I feel like the PS2 was still supported way into the PS4 generation, right? So to me, it would make sense to continue to support the PS3 way into the PS5 generation. Like I could see us closing that store being closed towards the end of the PS5 generation, or like halfway through to the end. And then at that point, to me, it's like, okay, it's been long enough. Like I kind of feel like I almost feel like 20 years might be the right, like from release, right? Might be the right mark, or rather, 10 years after the console has become irrelevant. And I don't think it's been 10 years yet. Like 10 years ago, people were, playing their PS3s avidly. And there still probably is a public out there that's still rocking their PS3s. Emerging markets, places like Brazil, where I'm from, I'm sure there's plenty of people still rocking their PS3s over there. And even though no new games probably are coming out for it, other than perhaps a FIFA or a Just Dance or something, I don't really know. Don't quote me on that. Now, here's the worst one though. The Vita. The Vita is not even 10 years old yet.
It's
The
not
Vita came out like the
eight and a
Vita came out
half.
like 8 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, nine
That's
years ago
that's
actually.
insane. The Vita. Now, here's the interesting thing. The Vita was not a successful console, right? So it's like, okay, it makes sense that they would short shift it because it didn't sell nearly as much as the 3DS. It didn't sell nearly as much as the PSP. However, it is a console that has its like dedicated cult following to the point where there are still games coming out on the Vita and people that play them. There's a lot of like nerdy ass, RPGs that come out on the Vita. There's indie games that come out on the Vita, like games published, and then games published by like Atlas and companies like that still come out on the Vita, and people play them. And I'm in certain circles online where I see that there are people that are still rocking their Vita. And like I said, like the console, like you can still go and buy a Vita, and it's not a collector's item yet or anything. Like it's just an item like that you can go and buy, and you can buy it new. And that's probably not going to last you long, but that's the one that I'm the most upset about and the most shocked about, because I don't know. I think even though the Vita, was in quotes a failure, a commercial failure, and that I understand why Sony is no longer supporting with first party. The console still exists, and it's kept around by these third party developers that are occasionally putting games on it, and this community that's still playing on it. And it is the latest PlayStation Portable, right? Like it is the last PlayStation Portable system to ever be released. So yeah, that's the one that I'm the most, I don't want to say angry, but close to angry about.
That's why I said miffed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. It says on the article that it did come out in December of 2011. So this coming December would be the 10-year anniversary coming up.
Hmm.
It sold 10 to 15 million units across its lifetime. I like how it gave an estimate of it's somewhere between 10 and 15 million, because it's like, why is that not publicly known? Like the actual
No,
hard number, but whatever.
it's just like with Xbox. We don't know how many units Xbox One sold. It's all just estimates. Yeah.
It's kind of funny if like this was all like comes to fruition and the PlayStation 3 servers like shut down and stuff like that. Number one, I'm gonna go out of my way to like pop in every PlayStation disc 3 disc I have to make sure that all of my games are patched. Because like that's something that I know like all of my games are not updated. And then
Here's the other part of this too. There are games that are stranded on the PS3 that you can't play on any other platform as well, like because there's no backwards compatibility with PS3 games on, either the PS4 or the PS5.
hmm,
So I'm sorry I interrupted you there, and I'm sorry we keep ranting on this. I don't care. The show can be long. There's points that are important to make here. Like this is not cool yet.
yeah, of course, of course. Um, what was I gonna say? I was saying like there's a PlayStation 3. I need to patch them and stuff like that. And I was gonna say something else, but I forgot. It's okay.
Oh,
It's
you're
fine.
gonna download. You're gonna download all your digital games to your console, right?
Probably. Yeah, I think I have like a couple
Yeah.
of like codes that I never downloaded and stuff like that. So it's gonna be a pain in the ass, but it's got to happen. And I've always knew that this day was gonna come. So all right, last story
Yep.
is regarding Xbox again. So we're gonna talk about the possibility and the rumors that Ubisoft Plus could be added to Xbox Game Pass, says Jeff Grubb. So let's go ahead and pull up this article here. All right. Ubisoft Plus, the rebranded Uplay Plus subscription service, is currently only available on PC and cloud streaming services like Amazon Luna and Google Stadia. However, Venture Beat's Jeff Grubb is confident that Microsoft is trying to work out a deal to bring Ubisoft Plus on top of its own Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription, which would add it to the Xbox consoles as well. The precedent for that was given the recent addition of EA Play on Xbox Game Pass. And so this is the relevant excerpt from the Grubbs podcast. He says, I think it's Ubisoft Plus. Yes, I think it's that part. I'm not for sure, but that my understanding is that they're trying to make that happen. Well, what that looks like is that they're adding another $5 thing into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, or if there's going to be tiers to getting all these things involved. I honestly don't know. That is me speculating, but I do think that they are trying to figure out a way to bring Ubisoft Plus in. I think that would be a pretty big deal. So, indeed, while EA Play was added to Xbox Game Pass for free, it is unlikely that Microsoft could do the same thing for Ubisoft Plus. That's because EA Play is only priced at $5 monthly, whereas Ubisoft's subscription service is much more expensive at $15 per month, which is the same as EA Play Pro. If the deal goes through, it'll be interesting to see how customers react to having a pay an increased price. As a reminder, Ubisoft Plus includes all of the publisher's latest games, such as Immortals, Phoenix Rising, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Watch Dogs Legion, etc., and etc. So yeah, the this is one of those situations where like I'd have to see it to believe it kind of thing. Like it feels like Microsoft is out here just spending money like crazy and stuff, like buying out like an EA contract, and now they're trying to buy out a Ubisoft contract. I mean, that's like a lot of money being thrown around, and I'm thinking to myself like these guys are like taking growth mode very seriously. And for those that don't know,
Hmm.
growth mode is like whenever a company is just spending so much money and just investing and going overspending their revenue and not making, they're basically operating at a loss to like grow their user base and their customer base and stuff like that, so that way they can reap the benefits later whenever they're not in growth mode and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, that's cool. I mean, I'm already a Game Pass subscriber. I don't think that it's gonna go over really well if they do this tier thing where it's like, well, they sort of do a tier thing, but like, like Game Pass PC, or Game Pass for the console and all that stuff, Game Pass Ultimate. But now it's like adding too many tiers just becomes a situation where it's just too confusing. And I think that the more if 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 you have to do a chart, you're doing it wrong, is my opinion. But what do you think?
I think they can have up to 3 tiers, and I've suggested that before. That I think like the equivalent of Life Gold can be tier one, and then either PC or Xbox can be tier two. So it's like a one console, and then like a one platform thing, and then tier three is Ultimate. So I think they can keep it at that. I wouldn't add any more tiers than that. But 3 tiers, I think people can wrap their minds around that. It's almost like a bronze, silver, and gold kind of thing. Um, Now, with this Ubisoft news, we'll have to see whether this actually happens or not, how much money is going to cost. I'm sure Microsoft would be down to pretty much pay however much it costs. Yeah, I mean, they just offer 10 billion for Discord, right? This is a company that is able to do like just kind of put money down to get what they want.
Baller ass
Now,
moves.
the interesting thing about yes, yeah, I know. Like, and the interesting thing about Microsoft and their moves when it comes to Game Pass is have you ever watched Breaking Bad, Lewis?
Yes, I have.
Okay, it's a really good show. I'm assuming you finished it. I'm gonna have very, very, very light Breaking Bad spoilers here, so
Okay.
skip it if you want, but it's very light. Towards the end of the show, there is a scene where Walter White, who's the main character of the show, says a line. They're talking about which kind of business is he in. He's like, like, are you in the meth business? I think is a question that he's asked.
Yeah. I know what you're getting at. Go for it.
That was the worst time to be cut off, by
I
the way.
know, right? You're like, oh, yeah,
Uh,
Discord is like, nope.
I am in my you can do the thing.
All right.
Well,
That didn't work.
I had it right on my audio, but I'm gonna say it again. He says, "I am not in the meth business. I am in the empire business." So what I was gonna say is that that's my take with Microsoft when it comes to this Game Pass thing. They're not in the games business anymore. They're not in the subscription business even anymore. They're in the empire business. Microsoft is trying to build an empire within the games industry throughout Game Pass. They want this to be the ultimate and all be all game subscription. We talked about we talk about Netflix all the time. We got all these other subscription services that are coming out to compete that have come out that compete with Netflix, but Netflix is above them all by far, right? Like, Netflix has more subscribers than pretty much all of them put together. I know Disney Plus is in a different category now, but Disney Plus aside, you can almost put all of them together and it's Netflix, right? Microsoft wants to be that. And the cool thing with Microsoft too, cool in quotes, right? Like the clever thing about Microsoft is that they're doing this before anybody else is even trying to compete. Almost like they are just cleaning up and trying to dominate before anybody else even has a chance to pose a challenge, right? Before PlayStation has truly got in the game in a serious way. So is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. Is that going to pan out? I don't know. But I think that's what they're doing. I think they're trying to turn Game Pass into this big empire to the point where, with Netflix, right? Like you will cancel each other one of your subscriptions before you cancel Netflix. I
Yeah.
know because I just did that, right? Like that's the one you want. If you can only have one, that's the one you want. And I think that's what Microsoft wants to do with Game Pass.
Yeah,
So
but if you think about it with EA Play and then like a potential Ubisoft integration and stuff like that, and their first party output, the fact that they bought Bethesda and all the other ZeniMax stuff, like
mhm.
their catalog on Game Pass is gonna be unrivaled, like straight up. So,
Yeah,
yeah, if you have a Netflix of games and you truly are like the best of the best, no one's gonna really touch you. You're gonna cancel your Google Stadia, or you're gonna cancel Amazon Luna, or whatever you want to call it, like whatever they're called. So, yeah, you're right. This is
yeah,
they are in the empire business. They're making baller ass moves. You know
yeah.
what?
Like nobody's gonna have a chance.
You know
Mhm.
what? I for one welcome my new corporate overlords. Give me that monopoly.
Oh my god. All right.
I'm sorry. That's such an anti-consumer thing to say.
Yeah. For the record, I am not necessarily saying I'm with Xbox on this. That's just my read on the situation.
Good one. Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right. It's like everyone can like see the game. It's that's yeah.
Mhm.
All right, let's go ahead and get on to some extra news. Number one, Ghost of Tsushima movie from John Wick director is in development. Number two, let's go ahead. There we go. All right. Number two, former Nintendo of America president Reggie Fils-Aimé is leaving the GameStop board of directors. Number three, Back for Blood is delayed to October, and Gotham Knights is delayed to 2022. Number four, Ghostwire Tokyo creative director Ikumi Nakamura is to set up a new indie studio. Number five, retail codes for Super Mario 3D All Stars will still work after March 31st. Number six, Niantic and Nintendo are partnering together to create new mobile apps, including a Pikmin app. Number seven, Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne HD Remaster. That's a title. Will release on May 21st for pre-order customers and on May 25th for everyone else. Number 8, Marvel's Avengers PlayStation exclusive Spider Man has been delayed. Number 9, Disco Elysium is banned in Australia. Number 10, Amazon is opening up a new game studio in Montreal led by Rainbow Six Siege developers. Number 11, Resident Evil Village is coming to Stadia day and date with Resident Evil 7 as a pre order bonus. And then number 12, Microsoft unveils two new Xbox Series X controllers, and they are ugly. Like I do not like them. But anyways,
I have not seen
oh
those
yeah, I
those
just
yet. So.
click on the link, and that's the very first thing you see.
Hmm.
But I just want to say that there's a lot of extra news. Dan, what catches your eye?
So it's interesting because each one of those stories is almost like you would need to read further into it to really know what's going on, right? So I already started pulling up some tabs here because I didn't know. I only knew the headlines for the majority of them. With Reggie leaving GameStop, my assumption there is that GameStop probably just had a pretty shitty year as far as with the pandemic and everything, the way that it's affected every business out there, and even the issues trying to usually GameStop gets a boost, when new consoles come out, but with all the issues surrounding this console release, I assume that was complicated for them as well. So maybe I'm having the wrong read here, but I feel like Reggie was probably just like, no, this is not going to go anywhere, so he left. Um, then I'm kind of sad that Back for Blood got delayed and Gotham Knights. Those are two games that were part of my top five anticipated games of the year, right? And got
What's gonna?
delayed, but
I wonder what's gonna do to your fantasy
our
football.
game. True. Well, maybe Gotham Knights will come out in like February, right? So we'll see about that.
Hmm.
But either way, it's expected. Pandemic, everything's getting delayed. All right, cool. I'm very interested on this like Ikumi Nakamura thing. So she's the woman that came out on E3 and presented a game, a few years ago, Ghostwire Tokyo, and she was very charming and she caught a lot of attention. There's a lot of things going viral on social media and little moments of her presentation. And then like a few months after, it was announced that she was leaving the project. So it was really weird. She was supposed to be Shinji Mikami's like successor, and everything, and then she just kind of leaves this project and she proceeded to kind of do some tours and visit some studios, and I've kind of followed her on social media just to kind of see what was going on there, and I kept wondering like what is this girl going to do, what's going on. So it's kind of cool to see that she's starting her own little indie studio now, whatever that means. But I think that's interesting. The Pikmin app, God, there's a lot of stuff happening right now, actually, surprisingly. Pikmin app, interesting. I saw that that's going to be kind of like a Pokemon Go like thing, but
It says here on the
I don't.
article, the app will include gameplay activities to encourage walking and make walking more delightful. So,
How
yeah.
do you feel about the Pikmin franchise, by the way? Because I really like the games. I think the games are good. I think Pikmin 3 is such a good game on the Wii U, but I feel like the franchise itself, like I don't really see it having any chance and mainstream appeal. Like I don't. And so I find it kind of odd that that Nintendo kind of keeps going back to, like, there's other franchises that they completely abandoned, right? And then they keep going back to Pikmin like over and over again. And as much as I like it, I like the games. I wonder if it's a smart investment.
Yeah, I don't know. I have not played any of the Pikmin games. I think I played like one of the games just to test out the disc, because I'm a collector. But as far as
Mhm.
like my experience with Pikmin, I know Olimar because of Smash, and I know the idea of like
Mhm.
micromanaging your Pikmin and stuff like that, and them carrying things around. I've seen the Pikmin transfer my files from my 3DS to my other 3DS. I've seen the Pikmin carry my Wii save files to my Wii U. that's
Mhm.
that's my. But I know, okay. As far as Pikmin goes, like I don't know. It just kind of seems like really weird. Like, oh, you're gonna virtually like pick up stuff and like take things with you or whatever. Like, I don't know. Just they haven't given us any details to go off of, but I'm assuming that that's what they want to do with that, to make Pikmin like
Yeah.
these virtual little pets that are walking with you and stuff like that. So I don't know. I guess I would have to see more, but I don't really have faith in this app particular. Um, as far as the Pikmin franchise, and as far as your question goes, I don't know. I think I'm the wrong person to ask.
Yeah, it's just kind of like an odd IP, right? Like with Pokemon, it's such a big, and strong. It's a strong IP. That's what it is. So it's like it's the kind of IP that like you can build into so many things and it can evolve and you can sell merch and etc. And Pikmin, I feel like is like it's a good game. I do think that the core Pikmin games are good games.
and
But
then
it doesn't really feel like it
the
has.
the spin off, the Captain Olimar game, just was I think it landed on its face if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I didn't review well. So I just feel like the IP itself does not really hold that much value, really. And I think part of the reason why Nintendo insists so much on it is because it's kind of Shigeru Miyamoto's last good creation, really. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, because I don't think he really did much of anything since Pikmin from a creative standpoint. Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to say that Marvel's Avengers, man, the big marketing push was like, oh, Spider-Man's going to be a PlayStation exclusive, and I think the consensus was that he was going to be coming out sometime around the first half of this year. But now the fact that they're
Hmm.
not even saying that he's not even going to be coming out until after the War of Wakanda expansion is already dropped. So that's going to be interesting. Where it's like you may not even be able to play a Spider-Man until 2022. So that sucks. Um, I still have Avengers in the shrink wrap, by the way. It's so
We'll play
terrible.
it. We'll make it a
Ready, press
spoiler
play.
cast at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the it just kind of. I think Reggie Fils-Aimé just likes to retire. That's what I'm. That's what I want to say. I don't really have much to say about that. I remember we talked about it early on into this very podcast's lifespan. We talked about, oh yeah, Reggie's joining the board of directors and stuff like that. I honestly
Hmm.
want to say that I kind of want to read into this and think that this is a bad thing. Like if Reggie's leaving the
Hmm.
board of directors, something's sus. There's smoke and
Hmm.
there's fire. So, yeah. But yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say other than that. Yeah. You want to go ahead and move on?
Yeah. All right. Let's
All right.
keep going here.
I believe you are going to be taking over the show now, so go ahead and cover the releases.
What are you buying?
All right, so first quick one. There's an event happening in the game Brawlhalla where they're adding Kung Fu Panda. So you might want to check this out if you're interested in either the IP or the game. They're going to be featuring Po epic crossover and ultimate lover of kung fu. This chosen dragon warrior is ready to fight and protect with Crane and Mentis by his side. The Tigress epic crossover and then Tai Long epic crossover. Those are the characters from Kung Fu Panda. Lewis added this one in, and then he wanted to cut it, but I was like, no, that's funny. Let's just throw it in there.
I just wanted to say,
Other
I just wanted to say really quick that that on this reveal trailer, they have a reveal trailer in this this YouTube channel or this YouTube video, and they're actually showing like Poe and Tigress and Shay Long, like, or I believe that's his name. They're showing them like fighting and like in this animation style. And it almost kind of feels like they're even getting like the Smash treatment where like they cut and like do that freeze frame, like how doing Smash Brothers was like someone joins in and stuff like that. They're literally
yeah.
doing a Smash Brothers reveal because this is a Smash clone. You can actually play this game for free
Mhm.
on it's a free to play game, and it's on Xbox as well. So and as well as other, I
Cool.
think it's on Nintendo Switch and PlayStation. But I played it on Xbox and PC. So yeah, that's cool. I just think that they're really trying to give it that Smash treatment. So yeah.
I wish Smash would have added Kung Fu Panda to its roster. Okay. Can you imagine how funny that would be? It's you're at the Game Awards or something, and then the screen just turns like white, and then it like zooms out, and it's Poe the panda in there. Anyway, all right. For as far as new games coming out, we got Balin Wonderworld coming out on PS5, Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on March 26. It is a wondrous action platformer game themed around a mysterious musical theater. The stars of the show will use special abilities from a multitude of character costumes as they adventure in the bizarre and imaginary land of Wonderworld. Here, memories and vistas from the real world mix with the things that people hold dear. 12 different tales await our stars in Wonderworld, each with their own unique quirks. They will explore out corners of these labyrinth stages, using all the tricks and gimmicks hidden along the way to get to the heart of each touching story. On the same day, we got Genesis Noir coming out on Xbox One, Switch, and PC, as well as It Takes Two coming out on PS5, Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Embark on the craziest journey of your life in It Takes Two, a genre bending platform adventure created purely for co op. Invite a friend to join for free with Friends Pests and work together across a huge variety of gleefully disruptive gameplay challenges. Play as the clashing couple Cody and May, two humans turned into dolls by a magic spell. Together, trapped in a fantastical world where the unpredictable hides around every corner, they are reluctantly challenged with saving their fractured relationship. Then Monster Hunter Rise is also coming out on the Switch on the same day, March 26th. Rise to the challenge and join the hunt. The critically acclaimed action RPG series returns to the Nintendo Switch. Set in the ninja-inspired land of Kamura Village, explore lush ecosystems and battle fearsome monsters to become the ultimate hunter. It's been half a century since the last calamity struck, but a terrifying new monster has reared its head and threatens to plunge the land into chaos once again. Hunt solo or in a party with friends to earn rewards that you can use to craft a huge variety of weapons and armor. Brand new gameplay systems such as the high flying wire action and your canine companion Palamute will add exciting new layers to the already robust combat that Monster Hunter is known for. Whether it's at home, on the go, online, or offline, you'll always be ready for your next hunt on the Nintendo Switch. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2 is coming out with its PS5 and Xbox Series X and S upgrades on March 26th. Then on March 29th, we got Neptunia Virtual Stars coming out on the PC. On March 30th, we got a bunch of different releases, including Auto Chess coming out on the PS5, Disco Elysian, The Final Cut coming out on PS5, PS4, Stadia, and PC.
But not in
Evil
Australia.
Genius 2 World Domination coming out on PC. And all of the different Kingdom Hearts games coming to the PC. That includes HD 1.5 Remix, 2.5 Remix, 3 Remind, and Melody of Memory. Narita Boy is coming out on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC on March 30th as well. Then on March 31st, we got Drifters coming out on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. And The Binding of Isaac Repentance coming out on PC. The first day of April, and I promise I'm not lying about this one, Outriders is coming out on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. I believe will be day one available on Game Pass. Outriders is a 1 to 3 player co-op RPG shooter set in an original dark and desperate sci-fi universe. As mankind bleeds out in the trenches of Enoch, you create your own Outrider and embark on a journey across the hostile planet. With rich storytelling spanning a diverse world, you'll leave behind slums and shanty towns of the first city and traverse forests, mountains, and desert in the pursuit of a mysterious signal. Combining intense gunplay with violent powers and an arsenal of increasingly twisted weaponry and gear sets, Outriders offers countless hours of gameplay from one of the finest shooter developers in the industry, People Can Fly. What have they developed before? Kind of want to look this up. So, Lewis, what do you think about the new releases? I know what your pick of the week is. It's the same as mine.
Oh yeah, obviously pick of the week is gonna be It Takes Two, 100%. Now, I will say that this is one of the situations where like pick of the week is actually kind of like a little bit more of like a toss up for certain people and stuff like that. People are really big on Monster Hunter if that's their franchise, then of course people love their Monster Hunter. And people, I remember Balan Wonderworld having like a lot of good reception when it was first debuted at some direct. It might have been the Nintendo Direct or some digital event and stuff like that. And now Outriders is now got suddenly got more eyes on it because of the Game Pass deal. So it's like everyone's winning this week, and I think it's really cool because next week I saw next week and it's a bit of a drought. So you gotta have plenty.
That's
of time.
usually how it goes. It's because I'm reading this week and you're reading next week.
I know, right? I want to say it. I think there's some kind of conspiracy because every time it's your turn to read, you get the best blurbs and I get the shitty ones.
That's a good point. So, People Can Fly, they're the developers of the game Painkiller, Gears of War Judgment, Bulletstorm, and now Outriders. But they also worked, and I assume it's like some kind of co-development way on Gears of War 2, Fortnite, Unreal Tournament, and a bunch of other games here.
By the way, I just want to say that It Takes Two is, I believe, it is cross-gen. So, like, I think if you can play with your friends from like PS4 to PS5. I could be wrong. I don't think it's like one of those things where it's like PS4 to PS4 only or PS5 to PS5 only, but it's not cross-play, so that kind of sucks. So you can't like if you have Xbox and I have PlayStation, we can't like share like friend code or whatever that feature they call it. They called it. They gave it a name for it with like a little TM or whatever, like friend pass. Friend pass. Yeah, that's the one.
No, but that's the interesting thing, though, Lewis, that let's say I get the game for the Xbox and you get it for the PlayStation, right? Then you can give me the PlayStation friend code and I can give you the Xbox friend code. So we both get the game on both platforms. Isn't that how it works?
No, I think the friend pass is like what they did with a Way Out, where it's like temporary, so you can like basically download like the demo and then you can then like piggyback off of my game save file and we can play it together. That kind of situation. It's not one of those things where it's like you get the friend pass and now you own the game. It's like you get the friend pass as long as you're in someone else's lobby. So, yeah.
Fair enough. All right, let's move on then, Lewis. If you can be so kind as to find our next sound effect here.
Okay, got it.
Got a selection of good things on sale, stranger.
So we are going to start with the free game of the week on the Epic Game Store. And the free game of the week on the Epic Game Store right now is Creature in the Well. It will be free from now until April 1st. And then starting on April 1st until April 8th, Tales of the Neon Sea will be the free game, allegedly. Bringing up Creature in the Well, too. I have actually heard of this game before. I think this is a well-regarded indie game. As the last remaining bot C unit, venture deep into a desert mountain to restore power to an ancient facility, hunted by a desperate creature. Uncover and upgrade powerful gear in order to free the city of Mirage from a deadly sandstorm. If you're watching us on video right now, I assume maybe Lewis pulled this up, maybe not. But yeah,
every time you read something, I have it pulled up and it's this beautiful box. So for all you audio listeners, you don't really get anything different, but for all you video listeners, you get to see a trailer and some blurbs and stuff. So it's really cool.
We also got some Ubisoft and Capcom sales in the Nintendo eShop. So let's find what we got here. Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle. It's only $9 on the Nintendo Switch.
Jeez.
That's a really good deal. That
they
it says here out of
price.
60 that Yeah, but the truth is this game is typically on sale, but it's not never on sale for this much. So I've never seen it be that cheap. Just Dance 2021 is $25. You got a gold edition of Mario and Rabbids as well for $13.59. Not sure what's included there. Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game complete edition is $11.99. Immortals Phoenix Rising, half off, $30. So lots of good stuff too. Here, Child of Light, $5. A lot of the Assassin's Creeds are on sale as well. Rayman Legends.
I need to get around to buying Uno because Uno's always on sale with these Ubisoft sales. Uno's on sale for $4, and I really, really do want to do like an Uno game night with Dan and Leah. So we,
That could be fun. We should definitely do that. Then on the Capcom side here, we got the original Devil May Cry, Devil May Cry 2, 3. Pretty much all the Devil May Cries are on sale for about $9.99 each. We also got all the Mega Man Legacy collections are on sale as well for about $9.99 each. Okami HD $9.99. Almost everything here is $9.99. We got the Ace Attorney games as well. Resident Evil Revelations on the 3DS. Oh, cool! So they got some 3DS sales going on as well. I assume that's usually the case, but we don't often bring it up. Now that I'm playing the 3DS, that has caught my attention here.
Yeah. Also, Monster 300,
Nice, yeah.
3 Ultimate for $6 on the 3DS. Dude, I know somebody who like put like over 200 hours on the Monster Hunter 3 on the 3DS. So, yeah.
I actually think I have it in my list to like buy that game for collection purposes, but I'm probably gonna buy that physically.
Yes.
However, a good call is to sometimes check, if you're into physical games and you see those digital sales, go and check the price of the physical games anywhere on like Amazon or whatever else you buy your physical games, because sometimes they'll be matching the digital sales. On the PlayStation side, the deal of the week on the PSN is Watch Dogs Legion, which is currently 67% off, which puts it at, trying to open the page right here, it's taking a little bit, $19.79. Watch Dogs Legion for the PS4 and PS5, a game that I paid $50 for, is now $20. A game that I paid $50 for, played for 3 hours, and then haven't turned on again. I could have got it for $20 if I bought it right now. And then on Amazon, we got
quick side note is that the Mega March sale and the Games Under 20 sale that we covered last week is still ongoing, so all the deals are still in effect. So, yeah.
Cool beans. The Pathless, which is a game developed by Giant Squid, the same developers of the game Abzu, which is free. Is going to be free as part of going to be free as part of that PlayStation Play at Home initiative or whatever. Well, The Pathless, which is their new game since then, I believe it's a PS5 exclusive.
Yep.
It's currently $41.88 on Amazon. So
it's that cool running game where you shoot a bow and arrow, and then it gets your speed. And I want to say I gotta say that I was a digital like I think it was like the PlayStation, what is it, State of Play, where they showed it, and they showed like a lot of like a big vertical slice. And this deal actually kind of entices me because I have my PS5 and that looks like a cool game, and I believe it reviewed well on IGN. So, yeah.
Cool. Right. So that's it for our deals this week.
All right, let's go ahead and call it a night. It is time to end. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Ready Press Play. Remember, you can reach the podcast at ReadyPlayNetwork.com or just simply at Ready Press Play on Twitter and TikTok. I'm Lewis, and I'm at Chakalaka88, and Dan
at the Dan Lima.
So don't forget to subscribe, give us a review, tell your friends about the show, and all that good stuff. See you next time.
Bye-bye.